Alright, this is an impromptu video. I know, I got the Johnny Storm video coming up. Gonna get to that. I am. But, and the Doctor Doom video and the Fantastic Four video. But, in the meantime, because who doesn't like butts? In the meantime, Ghostbusters, the trailer for Afterlife, coming out this July. I'm very excited for it. You can tell by my facial expressions. It really does. If we've gotten the teaser trailer, it's not the full trailer, it's only the teaser trailer. And so far, it looks amazing. And I know there's people out there saying, I wasn't that impressed. That's fine. Good for you. Not going to go through a full breakdown of the trailer. What I really want to start with is what Ghostbusters was. It's 1984. A movie comes out. It's half horror film, half action adventure, half comedy. That's really what it was. It's 3 halves of a movie in one movie. It is mostly an action adventure film. It is a threat arises and 4 heroes rise to meet that threat. That's what the story's about. It is a horror film because the threat that rises is a series of ghosts as paranormal activity escalates in New York City. That is the threat that's rising. There's a serious horror elements to it. And then the comedy comes from the fact that these are not. It's at no point does the movie get silly. It doesn't look at itself and laugh. It takes itself seriously the entire time. There are silly bits to it, like getting slimed by Slimer in the hotel. However, the movie itself takes itself seriously. The people in the movie take their job seriously. These men are doing what they do as if this is real, as if this whole thing is real. There's nothing tongue-in-cheek going on here. Well, maybe some of the wry comments, but they're all wry comments. Harold Ramis is very good with a tongue-in-cheek comment once in a while. But he's still a very serious person. He takes what's going on seriously. The threat to New York City feels real because they treat it as if it's real. And when other people don't treat it as real, that's where some of the comedy comes from. But the comedy mostly comes from the wit of the people, of the actors they chose, of the inside the movie itself. These people are quick-witted and they're taking what they're doing seriously and other people aren't. One of my favorite lines is in the mayor's office, and the movie came out in 1984. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't feel like I'm giving away spoilers here. Great scene. So the EPA comes and demands they shut down their stuff or comply with EPA codes or whatever. And so they shut down the ghost containment trap, which all of the work that the Ghostbusters had done up to this point had been to stop Gozer the Gozerian from rising, which is where all this paranormal stuff is coming from. So the EPA guy reverses all the work they've done so far up into the movie. It's the setback at the end of Act 2. Anyway, beginning of Act 3, however you want to put it. So they're in the mayor's office explaining what's going on, and Dan Aykroyd's character just throws out a line. He's mad. He's the situation, which again, he's taking seriously. The situation he's taking seriously, that all of this work has been undone, says to the mayor. Everything was going great until Dickless here, and he points to the EPA guy. Shut everything down, or whatever the line is, but it's something to that effect. Until this guy interfered, and he calls him Dickless. And the mayor turns to the EPA guy and says, is this true? And it's Venkman who answers. It's Bill Murray, who quick razor wit, jumps in there and goes, yes, it is true. This man has no dick. Which starts a fight in the office. And that's the kind of brilliant, not quick, anyway, it's very quick-witted. It's that kind of comedy. It's not, the comedy elements to it are secondary to the story. The story itself is the main part. It's the tone of the film. It's a serious tone. This is real life. And some other bits of comedy come from the fact that these guys are not superheroes. These guys are not highly trained military action guys from, the SEALs and the Green Berets and the Rangers and the Marine Sniper Corps and Long Range Recon Patrol. They're not those guys. They're 3 college professors starting to go a little doughy in the belly. Been there. Who doesn't like being doughy in the belly? And and a guy they hired to help out who was there literally to take any job, as long as there was a paycheck in it that, fit his needs. That's what he was there for. His Ernie Hudson's famous line there is just that. It's, I will take any job. So Dan Aykroyd's like, do you believe in this, that, I'll believe in anything you want if there's a paycheck in it for me. It's a great line. It encapsulates the whole character of Ernie Hudson, and it's a guy who's taking his plight seriously. He needs work. These guys are doing crazy amounts of work. He applied for the job. He got it. There you go. Fair enough. And that's what the movie constantly takes. It's serious. The tone is serious throughout the whole thing. So, again, one of the jokes that arises from them not being, military men is the elevators are down in that final building, and for the last confrontation scene, the elevators aren't working, so they have to walk up the stairs, and it's like 30 flights. And they're walking up the stairs carrying their 50-pound proton packs, and sure enough, they get tired. So we're watching them walk up these stairs, and they're like, just kill me. I'm dead. This is awful. I don't want to do this anymore. Because they're not the typical heroes. That's where a lot of the comedy comes from. And they recognize they look like idiots, so they make jokes about that. They're like, when they're going into that first hotel to catch Slimer, and somebody comes up, what are you guys, exterminators? They're like, you should see the cockroach on 8th. And it's funny, it's that kind of a humor. So we fast forward to 2016. They made a couple of huge mistakes with that movie. First and foremost, they treated Ghostbusters like it's a comedy. It's not a comedy. It's an action-adventure horror movie. That's its main focus, with comedic elements. Huge comedic elements, considering who was starring in it. But it's not a comedy. If it's not taking itself seriously, it doesn't have the same tone, it doesn't have the same feel as a Ghostbusters movie. 2016's Ghostbusters didn't feel like a Ghostbusters movie. I had to watch it in pieces because I just couldn't. I couldn't watch it. It was a Paul Feig comedy, which I am not a fan of Paul Feig's comedies. I liked The Heat when I was watching it with Dad, because Dad found it hilarious, and I didn't, but I found it kind of funny. And Melissa McCarthy works best when she has a straight man to play off of. She is one half of Abbott and Costello, and it's just not. It's okay. She's an okay comedian. She is funny, but when you put a straight man in there, like with Sandra Bullock and her, she played off Sandra Bullock. It was hilarious at parts. A lot of it fell flat for me. It's just not my style of comedy, and that's fine. If we all like the same thing, as my grandfather. Who did I steal this joke from? I think it's Rodney Carrington. He does it in one of his routines. My grandfather used to say, if we all like the same thing, they'd all be after your grandmother. So that's my style of comedy, by the way. I love silly jokes like that. Anyway, I accept the fact that not all comedy is my comedy, and that's fine. If you like it, go watch it. It's great. Laugh. Pay the money. Pay the man who helped make you laugh, who brightened your day. Give him the $5, $8, $10, $15, $20 it takes to go to a movie theater. If you feel that is worth your money, go support those arts. Do it. Have a blast. It's not my thing. So knowing that Paul Feig was directing, I knew I wasn't going to be interested in the film. But on top of that, there were some complaints about the movie when the trailer came out. They're like, this doesn't even look like Ghostbusters. And it wasn't. It was tonally different. The mission wasn't taken seriously. I've watched it in clips. The comedy is not my comedy. You need a straight man there for them to play off of, for it to be funny. And not everybody just cracking jokes. Anyway, that's not even including all the production stuff that was happening behind the scenes. But it fell flat. You're trying to sell, when you're doing a remake, you are trying to recapture or bring back the original audience and new people. So you need to focus on who your customer is and craft a product that is designed to appeal to that customer. If you're thinking of entertainment as anything else than business, you're not going to get the results you want financially. And if you can't get the financial results you want, you're not going to continue to make entertainment. The NFL missed out on this when they let people kneel for the flag a few years back. Instead of for the national anthem, when it played, they let their players kneel. They didn't fine anyone. They didn't stop anyone. And their audience, because I'm not an NFL fan. I've played football. I like watching football once in a while. I don't follow it. I can't tell you who the big people are in the game right now. But I can sit down at the bar, and when the game's on, I can follow the game. I can cheer when, I can pick a team or whoever I'm with. I'll cheer for their team with them. I can follow the game. I enjoy watching football once in a while. I am what you would call a casual football fan. So when they decided not to stand for the national anthem, I was not part of that. But you're offending your customers when you're doing that. That's what they were doing. They were offending the customers. And if you offend the customers, they're not going to buy your product. This is 101. This is what my boss taught me when I was working road construction. He always said, look, the customer is not always right, but the customer is always the customer. I mean, the whole reason Disney bought Star Wars wasn't just to own the property rights because they wanted to own the property rights and make their own Star Wars movies. No. They bought Star Wars for the fans that would come and pay to watch it. Disney is a corporation. It's here to make money, and there's everything right about that. That is a wonderful thing. I do not in any way blame them for that. Good for them. Go make those monies. Put out some more Star Wars movies that I'll pay $10 a pop to go see. I will happily go see them if they're good. If they're not good, I'm not going to go see them. It's that simple. And some of these thoughts and ideas and whatnot in these rants that I'm doing or talks or whatever is to tell you how I would do it, what I would do to make these movies better, to tell these stories in a way that I want to see them. So you got a Paul Feig comedy, which is, if you like Paul Feig comedies, that's great. It's not the same. It's not going to bring in the Ghostbuster fans, though. That's not the audience that you're looking for when you slap Ghostbusters on the side of a product. You are trying to attract the fans who that brand was built around. You're trying to attract the customers that brand was built for. And Paul Feig is apparently not the guy to do that, which you could have checked all those different polling statistics and whatnot. I can't think of the right name for it, but you can audience test scores, see who watches Paul Feig movies. If it's not the same people who watch Ghostbusters movies, you may want to think of a different director. You may want to give him a chance. Maybe he's going to make something amazing. That did not happen in this case. So that was 2016. So now it's 2020. It's 4 years later. 4 years later. And Sony is trying again. And more power to you. Now, I watched this trailer, and the first thing is the tone is similar to the original Ghostbusters movie. They're taking this seriously. What's happening in that town, that little small town with this mine, the Chandler mine, has the same feel. It has the same tone. These people aren't joking around about what's going on. There's going to be some humor. You see Paul Rudd, there's going to be a few jokes. But tonally, it feels the same. So I'm very excited about this because it feels like Ghostbusters again. It looks like they're going to take this seriously. There's going to be elements of horror. There's going to be throwbacks to the original fan base, which is good. For instance, this is still the teaser trailer. So let's go through a little bit of the teaser trailer. It starts off with finding out that so Harold Ramis is dead. And how they treat Harold Ramis is going to affect the fans too. If they don't treat him with respect, the fans are going to get pissed because these are your customers and they respect Harold Ramis. So his character, Egon Spangler, is now dead. And I don't know if it's his daughter or his daughter-in-law, but his two grandchildren, a boy and a girl, about a teenage boy, and we're talking like end of high school, 16 to 18, and a younger girl, probably junior high. come to this small town because they're broke. Their family's broke, and they're going through their grandfather's old stuff. And we find out the grandfather is Egon Spengler, which is a pretty good premise. That's a solid way to start. I really like that start. And then Harold Ramey's died. This seems like they're doing a tribute to him. One of the things we see after the granddaughter gets into his secret area or whatever is there was a throwaway line in the first Ghostbusters movie where Annie Potts' character Janine says she's hitting on Egon the whole time. There's something about Egon that really attracted him to her. However you say that. And, do you have any hobbies? She says in that perfect Annie Potts voice. And Harold Ramey's character Egon says, I collect spore, molds, and fungus. So now the granddaughter is in his secret lab area that she discovers. And there's a shot where it shows a collection in petri dishes of spores, mold, and fungus, which is just great. Absolutely love that little throwback. When they're running from a ghost at one point, and the one comedy line we hear so far in the film where the older grandson, the older kid, he's under the table with his mom and his sister, and he says, hey, remember that summer where we all hid under a table and died? It's good. It was good. It was a good line. It wasn't a great line. It was a good line. It might be greater in the context of the scene, we don't know, but as they're running out of there, they've got books stacked up. Now, they seem to be running from some kind of a ghost attack. So, it would be my guess that ghost has been haunting the house and stacking the books, like in the library in the first scene of the first movie. We see a ghost trap that Paul Rudd finds, and then he tells the kids about 30 years ago there were Ghostbusters in New York, and some serious crap went down, which is good. But that ghost trap is still active, we see in the teaser. I'm willing to bet that Egon has been keeping Slimer in there as a pet of sorts. And then later, at the end of the trailer, we see the Ecto-1 with the attachment, with a similar a gunner seat like they had with the toy. Now, this could be promotional. Like, you want to, when you're... Now, I talk about how important story is. A story is incredibly important. But if you're not selling the movie, you're not going to make another one. Merchandising is a key component to movie making, and you need to work it in as a writer. You have to work in the merchandising because you need to make that money as a movie, and you don't feel constrained by it. Look at it as an opportunity to flex your creativity, your creative muscles, okay? And that's what I think they're doing with Ecto-1. They bring back Ecto-1, they throw a gunner seat on it. This is going to sell for kids. It's similar to the gunner seat that was on the original toy from when I was a kid, from the real Ghostbusters toys from the cartoon. So they throw in a gunner seat on it, which is probably a merchandising tie-in. Good for you. Tie in that merchandising. Make that money for the company. And maybe we'll get, and if it sells, which hopefully it will, we'll get more Ghostbusters movies and more Ghostbusters toys for our kids to play with. I loved playing with movie toys when I was a kid. Star Wars toys, when we played with Star Wars for a little while. We didn't play with it a lot. But G.I. Joe and Transformers was just one gigantic merchandising show with a good, solid story written around it for both TV shows, both cartoons, and the comics were even better. But we get those. That's the price you pay for being able to do mass media, for all the production costs that are involved in mass media, is to tell those stories, that folklore, the modern day folklore, the pulp culture, the mythos of our times, hamster, gerbil, gerbil, Bob Dole, whatever. To pay for all that, you need to merchandise. You need to have product placement. And sometimes it will pull you out of the movie. And I hate that, when you get pulled out of a movie. I've talked about that in different videos I've done. But the merchandising is there for a reason. So go, make that Ecto-1. It's awesome. But going back to the teaser trailer, they're chasing a ghost, shooting the proton pack while driving the Ecto-1. Okay. The ghost they're chasing is Slimer. You have to go slow through it, frame by frame. I didn't go frame by frame. I just paused and I happened to catch him. Because I was looking for him, but I was like, I wonder if that's a ghost we know. because it could be the Runner, but it would probably be Slimer. It's already been leaked that Sony wants to do a Slimer spin-off, that this whole was supposed to be a connected universe with the Ghostbusters, that they want to do a connected, continuity Marvel universe style, whatever. And I don't care about that. I do a little, but you should be looking to make a series of movies in the same universe first before you worry about connecting to other heroes and coming up with a giant thing. You gotta crawl before you walk. You gotta walk before you run. You gotta run before you can do marathons. And Marvel is running the marathon right now, and they're the only one in the position to do it, and that's great for them. They crawled. Iron Man 2008 had almost zero budget comparatively. They weren't sure it was going to be a hit. Then they stumbled with Hulk for a variety of reasons. And then came Iron Man 2, which they're starting to walk now. Iron Man 2 led to Thor, which led to Captain America, the First Avenger, which led to the first Avengers movie. So they've already got 2 Iron Men, a Captain America, Thor, and a Hulk movie under their belt. That's 5 movies they had under their belt before they did a group movie. So it's in the distance. Right now, concentrate, have it in mind. Don't get me wrong, have it in mind. Know where you're going with your story. But concentrate on the good stuff for now, and they're doing that. So we had they're chasing Slimer. So we got the throwback to Slimer. The Trap, that Paul Feig, that was 2016. Please, I'm not crapping on that. I'm not crapping on that movie at all. It didn't work for most of us fans. It didn't work for a variety, mostly because it didn't feel like the first movie. It was totally wrong. Also, never insult the customer. Never insult the customer. Don't come out and insult the customer. You're asking these people to spend the money they made working hard. I used to watch movies when I was a ditch digger. Okay, I worked road construction, as I mentioned previously. My job was literally to dig ditches. And then I would take that $10 an hour I made, and out of that hard-earned money that was giving me calluses in places that I never wanted calluses, and out of that hard-earned money, after a 16-hour day of work, I would go watch a movie sometimes. I would decide to take some of that money and go watch a film at a movie theater for about an hour's worth of shoveling dirt, and then raking asphalt and shoveling asphalt and all whatever else I was doing. I would then decide to take an hour's worth of my time to go see a movie, to relax. That's when I watched Incredibles, actually. That's when Incredibles was in the theater, the first one. And that was a choice I made but it was hard work. I'm choosing to spend my money on your product. Give me a good reason to come buy your product, to purchase this entertainment. I don't think that's too much to ask. That's really where the focus should be. Why are we asking these wonderful customers to come buy our product? What are we selling them that they want? And a good story should be right at the top of the list. We want a good story. We all want a good story. Good story, well told. So anyway, what else was in that trailer? Oh, the Trap probably had Slimer in it. Like Egon was keeping Slimer as something of a pet. My guess for this movie is that they're going to open the trap, Slimer's going to come out of the trap, and then they're going to have to go chase down Slimer. He's going to cause some problems. At the same time, the name of the mine is Chandler, whatever it is. It's the same guy who built the building in New York in 1984. It's great. There's probably events going on in this movie that are going to echo the return of Gozer the Gozerian. Chandler's whole reason for being, as an architect crazy nut job that he was to bring back Gozer the Gozerian. Go watch the first movie. It's great. You'll love it. You'll thank me for it. I gave away some of the good jokes, but that's it. So we're going to see probably a keymaster and a lock. What is it? I am the gate master. I am the key master. I am the gatekeeper. Gatekeeper and keymaster, yeah. So Paul Rudd is going to be taking, if this is a guess, but we see a Gozer the Gozerian dog-style footprint land on the car that Paul Rudd is in 1 second, in one jiffy, in like 10 jiffies. Sorry. A jiffy is 1/100th of a second. So for about a tenth of a second, we just see this Paul Rudd in a car and a put of paw slammed down on the hood of the car. And it is probably the lion creature thing, dog, whatever, that possessed Lewis and Dana in the first movie. So I'm thinking Paul Rudd is going to be possessed by one of these dogs. He's probably going to be the same character Rick Moranis was playing there. So anyway, we see that. We see a bunch of stuff in Egon's place that are just little bits of Ghostbuster memorabilia and that, throwbacks to the first and second movie. And yeah, it looks good. There's a lot of diversity in the cast. The main character right now seems to be his granddaughter more than his grandson. But again, this is a teaser trailer, and I think it's going to be great. But the truth of the matter is, it could completely suck. We've only seen the teaser, and the teaser was wonderful. We're going to see the full trailer when that drops, and we'll know some more from there. So that's why I think it's going to be good. That's why I think 2016 wasn't good. They didn't. It was different tonally than the first film. And the second film, it was a completely different tone. It wasn't the same kind of story. So you're not going to get the same fans back, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with making a remake that's completely, that makes fun of the original source material. Have you seen the Green Hornet movie with Seth Rogen? That was very funny. And they paid some respect to the original material, and they did a good job. And the whole Kato being more qualified to do the job than whatever the name of the main Green Hornet character is there. I don't even remember. But it was a good movie. But it was sold as a spoof. They didn't sell Ghostbusters as a spoof. Like, Green Hornet was a spoof movie. It was a bit of a parody. It wasn't a full parody, but we knew what we were getting going into it. And Ghostbusters tried to play itself off as being an actual remake or sequel or whatever to the original film, and it wasn't. It was a Paul Feig comedy, which is great for Paul Feig and you guys and people who love it. So good for you, but there's a reason why you didn't get the fans, and that's pretty much it, in my opinion, for what little that's worth. So Ghostbusters Afterlife, stay tuned. When the trailer drops, the real trailer, the full trailer, we'll talk about that too. I usually don't watch trailers because I get too much out of them, and then I know what the plot of the movie is. But I already know what the plot of this movie is. They're doing a soft reboot, not a soft reboot, a soft remake of the first movie. They're using the same villain, Shandor. Probably going to be Gozer. A hint of it being Gozer as the enemy. Hopefully they'll stop it before it gets to that point in this film, so we don't get a full remake, but we can do a whole Gozer trilogy or duology. Duologies are fine. People always talk about trilogies, but a duology is fine as well. Just make a couple of movies that are good. We want well-told stories. If you put out a well-told story, the audience will keep coming. So thanks for listening to my boring rant. If you got all the way through, this has been an impromptu video.